Well, what is today? Today is Sunday, actually, December 23rd, 2018, and it is 12 o'clock. Noon time here in Connecticut. Temperature is somewhere around what? It's not too bad out today. You know, today was one of those days. There's always something that keeps me from doing what I need to do. It's 42 degrees outside, which isn't bad. It was like 50 Friday and Saturday. We did have rain on Friday, but Saturday was a really nice day. 42 outside, somewhat outside. Don't think that's inaccurate, but it's close. And 66 in here, which, it could be about right. And it isn't 12:48, like I said, it's 12:06. So that is not hooked up to a constant power, so it changes every time I turn it off. Meanwhile, haven't got too much done over the last couple of days. I came out here Friday and just started to do a few little things. And the old ticker started going into a rapid heartbeat again. So I thought, well, I'm just going to lay down, screw it. It's raining out, it's miserable, it's damp. I'm just going to go inside and lay down. So I went inside and I laid down, and it wasn't quite as bad as it usually was or used to be. They upped my medication by 25 milligrams. Well, I actually upped it, to be honest with you. They have me on a medication called metoprolol, ER, extended release, and that actually helps regulate the heartbeat. And what they say I have is not supposed to be deadly or anything, but very uncomfortable, for sure. And it's just a pain in the ass. So, but meanwhile, they gave me 50 milligrams of the metoprolol ER. Now, I used to take 50 milligrams of metoprolol. I would take one in the morning and one at night. And it wasn't the ER, extended relief, or release. So when I took one at night, I had a problem sleeping because of breathing. I just couldn't get that cleansing breath. If you guys know what I mean, that, and when you can't get that, sometimes you feel like you can't breathe or you're not breathing, but you are. So, you kind of gotta get your mind off it, Get up, walk around, stick your head in the fridge, go outside for a minute, and, once you get your mind off it, everything's back to normal again. Because you are breathing, you are getting a proper amount. Well, in my case, anyway. So, panicking is only going to make it worse. So anyway, I ended up, I think I told you guys about a month or two ago in the hospital because it jumped up to 155 beats a minute, and it just wasn't coming down. And I was in Home Depot at the time, and they got nervous, so they called the ambulance, and the next thing I know, I'm in the hospital, which was okay. And then they gave me this, I forgot what the hell it was, but what it does is it basically stops your heart for a second. In maybe a nanosecond, you know what I mean? It's really that quick. You don't even realize that it's happening, other than you might get a quick rush, and boom, it's done, and everything's back to normal. It takes two people for them to administer this. They inject it into your arm. One is injecting the stuff to basically stop your heartbeat, and the other one is injecting the stuff, which is like a cleaner or water or something that counteracts against the one that stops it and lets it start up again, because it doesn't stop for that long to where it won't start on its own. Sounds kind of threatening, but it really isn't. I guess it could be, but for the most part it isn't. And basically that's it. So anyway, they put me on, and I told them about this, breathing issue when I took the night pill. So they decided to put me on extended release. You take one in the morning and take another one the next morning. And that one actually seemed to work pretty good. And when I seen the heart doctor talking about a possible, what the hell do you want to call it, a procedure, yeah, I'll draw you a picture. There's a procedure that they can do, and I've known a couple people personally who's had it done and hasn't had any problems, because this happens regardless of age. It happens. I mean, to just about anybody. You don't have to be young, old, or anything to get it. I actually was getting this, from me being a kid. I remember having it and it going away. But what it basically is if we're going to look at the heart, and I may have done this. This is going to be a crude drawing. I'm only showing you what he kind of showed me when we were talking about this procedure. Apparently there's a little hole here, and there's another little hole someplace else, like this for instance, and this allows the blood to kind of go through and do what it has to do, and whatever, the way I understand it to be. Whichever way it goes, I don't know, but that's basically what he had showed me. And for those of like myself that have these little problems, sometimes there's another little hole right there, or over here. And what it does is that the blood starts to circle this way, all right, as well as going down into here, but it starts to circle here, and because it's circling quicker here, that it starts to give you that rapid heartbeat. And that's kind of what happens. Or if it goes down this way, then it's going back, that type of thing. So what they do is they go in there with a laser and they kind of cauterize that little hole, or wherever it may be, and they're done. So it's not actually outpatient, because they do have to go into your groin on both sides, to go up there and do it. And they just want to make sure that you don't bleed out or anything, so that everything is okay. The closing of the holes that they put into your legs, because if you're kind of like this, for instance, they come in here and come in here, and because of their main arteries, they want to make sure that they're not going to leak. So if you do it early enough in the morning, you could be out of there that night. But they always recommend that you stay overnight. So, but other than that, that's about it. So, but they gave me this metoprolol, and long lasting. Now, what they were supposed to do, what I was supposed to take, if you remember earlier, I was supposed to take with the old metoprolol, tartar, whatever it was, round pink pill. They tell you take one in the morning, take one at night before bed. Well, that would mean I'm taking 100 milligrams. Well, when they put me on 50 milligrams once a day. So I was minus 50. So when I was talking with the doctor and we were talking about this procedure, and again, he's not pushing the procedure. He's just saying that that's an option. We went through the pros and the cons, and he says it's a 95% success rate and stuff, and everybody seems to be doing fine and no problems, and it's like a 98% recovery. So I mean, it's got high honors at this point. But they only put me on 50, so I says to the doc, I told him basically what I'm saying here, and I says, well, what about if we just increase the medication as well? Because I can go months without this, and at times I've gone years, and sometimes I'll get it, it'll last 30 seconds, sometimes a minute, but as I get older, it seems to be, lasting days, right? And I get it more frequently, but maybe that hole is getting bigger, who knows, but at that point, He said, well, no, if you want, he says, he says, we get up to 100. Now, because I'm not big into taking medication, I says to him, well, what about like 75s? He goes, oh, you can do 75s. I says, all right, well, how about this then? If I find that I'm still getting them more so than what I used to, I'll increase it to 75, and I'll let you know, because you're going to have to change my script or I'll be running out. And he said, not a problem, it's a good idea. So I increased it to 75, and I noticed the more I increase it, the less severe they become. So what I did yesterday and today, I increased it to 100. So where I felt maybe I should have been to start with, if you kind of get the know what I mean there. If I was taking 50 in the morning, 50 at night, that's 100, so, and he doesn't know that well, he does, I'm sure he does by now, because I sent him a message, and, and at that point, because I told him, if I'm taking more, you're going to have to up it again, and only for that reason. Now, what's nice about Yale, they have something that's called My Chart. So I can get into my charts. I can't make changes to them, but I can get into them to see what they're saying. Anything they put into their system, I can see. Any ailments that I may have had and was treated through a Yale doctor. Doesn't necessarily have to be the hospital, because they have Yale doctors all over Connecticut here. And as soon as he puts it in there, naturally I can see it. So I can see and talk to any one of my doctors at any time via a message, and they do get back to you. So last night I sent him a text or a message telling him that I increased it to 100, so my prescription is going to have to be added so that I don't run out. And I'd like to talk to him again, via phone, just a quick conversation about this procedure and just getting it done, because you know what, I can't, well, I can, but it's annoying because you never know what's going to happen, and the medication, it could be working fine, and all of a sudden, bingo, and there's nothing I can take to stop it at that point, so it takes a while. So you don't want to be kind of caught with your pants down and not knowing what the hell, what's going on, because you sure in hell don't want to do any driving or anything. If you're driving, if you're going to want to pull over, because one is you do feel uncomfortable, and sometimes you do get a little dizzy, and you don't feel just right, so you don't really want to be driving. But meanwhile, other than that, if I can't stabilize it with their help, naturally, with medication, well then I just want to get it done, and let's just get it over with. So I upped it to 100. I take 100 in the morning, extended release, and we'll see what happens, while I'm waiting for them to get back to me, and see what goes on, and just take it easy over the weekend, over the holidays. I don't drink, so I don't have to worry about that. We're not going anywhere, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm not a party animal. But it does bother me sometimes, because I want to come out here and do things that I normally can't do. I made that box with all the plugs in it the other day, and I want to get it hooked up. Well, I just don't feel like doing it. It kind of just tires you out. It's like you ran a marathon, because your heartbeat is going up there, and it's running at that rate for some time. So, it's like you're out there running a marathon. So, but, and sometimes it even takes me a day to recuperate a little bit, because I just feel mushad for the next day. But other than that, I fell behind on a few things. One is that. The other is I have a camera on the well, it's a camera that's outside. It's a little peephole camera outside the house. and I got a 4-inch screen inside the house, and it's all wired. Everything's fine, but I want to get the wires all kind of tacked up out of the way, you know, make it so that you don't know that the wires are there. You know, basically I got to run all the wires. The camera's working, but you know, again, you know, it's something that, you know, it's just blah. Right now I'm just in a blah day. You know, I'm tired. I'm worn out. The other thing is, I don't want to start running around, because the more you start, the more, well, like with me anyway, you know, the more I start to do, you know, the faster I start to move. You know, because it stops, you know, so you're feeling good, so you start doing things, you know, you forget about it. You know, and then the next thing you know, bingo, you know, it starts up again for no reason. So it is kind of annoying at that point. So the procedure, right now, I'm looking at probably, if they said, yeah, let's do it after the New Year's, I'm probably ready to say, okay, let's just do it. Yeah. So now it does have one drawback, one that I'm not particularly fond of, but he says the average, not the average, but the percentage are really low, like, you know, 20s, 30%, but still it's a percentage. Sometimes if these two holes are too close together, when they're trying to cauterize this one may be blocked a little bit. And if that happens, sometimes they say they have to put a pacemaker in. Well, I'm not crazy about it. Now again, I know people that have pacemakers. I got a brother-in-law that's had a pacemaker for 10, 12 years. You know, not a problem. He has to go and have it checked every whatever, you know, but other than that, you know, he has no problems. He still does what he has to do. He likes to fish. You know, he goes out there, he goes fishing. He doesn't let it interfere with his lifestyle too much. The only thing that's holding him back right now is his back, because he's got a bad sciatica. And, you know, I know how that is. I mean, I've got the same thing. And surgery doesn't really make it right, especially the older you get. Surgery didn't help me, it only made it worse. I mean, the fusion took, but that's a whole other story. The scar tissue decided to start growing in about 3 months after the surgery, so I felt good for about 3 months. No medication, no pain, no nothing. And then about 3 months, 4th month, scar tissue started growing right back into the S1 where I was having the problem to start with, and next thing you know, I'm back into the pain and back on pain management. However, again, because I haven't got an addictive personality, nor do I like taking medication, I control it quite well, and I'm taking a minimum, and I deal with a little pain 24/7. But I'm not going to walk around like a zombie and not know what the hell I'm doing in my time. So I chose to live with a little pain and keep going, and that's what I do. So, but and then the scar tissue actually grew. And it can't take the scar tissue and cut it out with a laser, because what it does, it actually grows right into the nerve and becomes part of the nerve. It's not that it grows around it or against it or pushes it. It actually grows into it. And it also grew into S2 and partially into S3. So over the last 10 or 12 years, I don't remember when I had it done. Oh wait, maybe 10, 6, I don't remember. I tell you guys all the time, I don't keep track of time. But at that point, it has invaded S1, S2, and S3. Now, luckily, I can still maintain the amount of medication, so it doesn't affect me, you know, so I can still continue doing what I'm doing, you know, because sometimes I'm out there and a lot has to depend on you moving and quick decisions, and you can't do that if you're walking around as a brain that isn't functioning right. Let's put it that way. You know, so I kind of maintain that and do what I got to do. You know, if anybody's going to take any type of pain medication, you know, you really have to pay attention. Don't just take it. You know, I mean, if you're going to take it to get rid of it, take it. But then after you've accomplished getting rid of the pain and you're still on the meds, well, it doesn't hurt to try backing off a little bit. You know, back off. You know, cut it in thirds. Take away a quarter. Instead of taking the whole thing, take away a quarter. And don't just do it for one day and say, oh, okay, that's good. It takes a week to 10 days for it to start to work out of your system. So if you're going to take away a quarter of your pill, you know, for pain, well then, you know, keep doing it for a week to 10 days. And if you still feel okay, you know, and it's not that bad, well, take off another quarter. You know, and then again, a week to 10 days. You know, you got to wean yourself off slow. Because if you just take off a half, you know, and the pain comes back in 10 days, oh shit, I can't do that. And you take a half again when you may have only had to take a third. You know, that type of thing. So, you know, wean yourself off slow, giving yourself 7 to 10 days between each cut. Always let your doctor know what you're doing, even if you just leave him a message. And at that point, try it. It doesn't hurt to try, other than, well, it does hurt, but, you know, you get to a point to where you find a happy medium instead of running around like, you know, a drug-infected, you know, drug addict, you know, and the next thing you know, you're taking more and more, you know. Well, what's the matter with taking less and less, you know? So, but you got to give it time, that's all. Meanwhile, that's what I find. I'm not a doctor by no means. I'm just telling you what worked best for me. And my doctors think it's a good idea, and they're happy with what I've been doing over the last 10, 12 years. And I have no issues. I have good rapport, you know, and I keep active, as you guys see. All right. If I'm not here, I'm at the station. If I'm not at the station, I'm at another station. If I'm not there, I'm at the range. You know, I keep active. You know, I'm good around the house here. I keep active. I come out here sometimes with nothing to do, but I come out here just to do something and find something to do because I want to keep active. I'm good for about 4 hours, you know, through the course of a day. And I'm talking a good 4 hours. So, and, you know, meaning that, you know, I can go out there and dig, move cinder blocks, you know,